We've got to get to what I think was one of the best ideas. And as you read more into it, you start to wonder, why weren't we doing this before now? I don't know if it's a logistics thing. I don't know if it's a problem having to keep money and then return it. But we're going to have people coming into the United States from countries that tend to overstay visas put bonds up for their visas. Kind of like people putting bonds getting out of jail. Okay, well, you got to put up this amount of money, and if you don't show up for your court date, guess what? You lose all of that money. If you don't leave the country and we don't have proof of you leaving the country, we're gonna get to keep the money. Bonds can be anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000. The State Department is putting this into place. A bunch of the libs are freaking out, including some people at the Wall Street Journal. They said this: the steep price of the bond could make entering the U.S. prohibitive for some would-be foreign travelers. To which I say, great. That's okay. That sounds incredible. If they don't have the money to put up a bond, probably not going to spend a bunch of money, not going to be great help to the economy, in which case, you probably have a pretty big risk of overstaying your visa, and I'm not entirely sure how much we need you. Here to comment on that and so much more is founder of We the People Media, Gates Garcia, and professor, among other things, political analyst Sierra Knoch. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Joe Bob.
Thanks for having me.
Gates, I want to start with you here. I feel like this is one of those, why haven't we been doing this for as long as I've known about travel visas? This feels like a pretty surefire way of making sure that people don't overstay their visas, which, by the way, is the way that most illegals get into the country.
Well, the Conservative Party is the party of laws, and America is a nation of laws, and that starts at the border. The $15,000 bond is about personal accountability. If you want to come here legally, respect the terms of your visa. It's not, if not, there's a consequence. We've seen rampant abuse of tourist visas turn into de facto illegal immigration. Over 40% of illegal immigrants aren't border crossers. They're visa overstayers. When people overstay, it costs American taxpayers and everything from welfare fraud to hospital burdens to illegal employment. The visa bond makes the individual, not the U.S. citizen, carry the risk. Look, Joe Bob, I'm not anti-tourism. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-chaos. And right now, visa abuse is contributing to a system that's too big, too slow, and too easy to game. The left thinks enforcement is cruel, but what's cruel is setting up people to break rules they were never held accountable to, and then pretending it's compassionate. Compassion without order is chaos, and order is what makes compassion possible.
Gates, I'm not sure about you, but I live in a very heavily populated tourist zone. I might be against tourism. I know I'm not speaking for you, but I'm just saying myself personally, there's a lot of tourists here. I'm not entirely sure. I'm super stoked about that. Sierra, the countries that are they haven't listed countries specifically which ones they're enforcing this with yet, but the countries that are exempt from this is most of Europe, South Korea, Japan, and other countries who don't necessarily overstay their visas. A bunch of the libs are saying this is some sort of discrimination or whatever. But to me, it kind of sounds like, well, this is the most rational way of doing this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great move by Secretary Rubio. You know, as Gates was saying, it's about time we start fixing our legal immigration system as well as, you know, all of the issues that we've seen with the illegal immigration. And I think Americans are waking up to the fact that the two go together. You know, people don't just abuse the system by coming across the border, which is thankfully sealed, but they abuse the system by overstaying visas, coming into our college campuses and causing chaos, you know, all these different types of things. And as you said, isn't it ironic that it's not often these countries that you just listed, you know, Europe and Japan and South Korea, those are not the people who are here to cause problems. They're here, you know, to take advantage of the opportunity, whether it be to study or work or whatever they're here for. And those are the type of people that we want here. But we don't want people here who are causing problems or who are here to take advantage.
Yeah, we don't want people who aren't going to put American values and American culture first,